The Galactic Declaration. The emergent empire. The Galactic Council had seen many wars. Empires had risen and fallen. Civilizations had been wiped out. But never before had they seen a species like humans. For a long time, Earth had been ignored. It was a small planet, far from the powerful empires. But things had changed. Humanity had grown. Their technology had advanced at an alarming speed. Their influence had spread across the stars. The Council saw them as a threat. And so, a decision was made. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, leaders of the greatest alien empires sat in a circular chamber. Some had scaly skin. Others had metallic bodies. Some had dozens of eyes, while others floated as pure energy. Despite their differences, they all agreed on one thing: humanity must be stopped. A massive ancient alien known as High Chancellor Varlock stood at the center. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Today, we make history," Varlock announced. His deep voice sent shivers through the room. Humanity has grown too powerful. They expand too fast. They ignore the old ways. They refuse to submit to the Council. A three-eyed creature, Grand Minister Kalza, spoke next. "They do not respect our rules. They build AI weapons. They terraform planets without permission. They trade freely with our enemies. They are dangerous." Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Varlock raised his arms. "Then it is decided. The Galactic Council officially declares war on humanity. Their fleets will be destroyed. Their colonies will burn. Their leaders will kneel before us." A giant holographic message was sent across the galaxy. Every empire, every species, every planet saw the same words. The Galactic Council declares war on the Terran Federation. The message reaches Earth. On Earth, the news spread instantly. Screens across the planet flashed the message. The Galactic Council declares war on humanity. Governments received the transmission. Military leaders read the declaration. AI systems analyzed the situation. And then, nothing happened. No panic. No emergency meetings. No fear. People looked at the message for a few seconds, then went back to their daily lives. A man in a coffee shop saw the news on his holoscreen. He took a sip of his drink. The aliens are mad at us again." A woman in an office glanced at her computer. Another war. Just fix it before the weekend." The president of the Terran Federation leaned back in his chair, reading the report. Galactic Council declared war. Again. Just send the usual automated response. A robotic assistant nodded. "Message sent, sir." The reply to the Galactic Council was short. "We acknowledge your declaration. Good luck." The Council's shock. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the leaders waited. They expected Earth to send an ambassador. A peace request. A desperate plea. Instead, they received silence. Then, they saw the human reply. Varlock read the message aloud. "We acknowledge your declaration. Good luck." The chamber fell silent. Good luck. That was it. No surrender. No threats. No military buildup. They don't care," Kalza muttered. Varlock's massive fists clenched. "They are mocking us. They do not understand the power of the Galactic Council. We must show them why they should fear us." He turned to his generals. "Prepare the fleet. We will strike first." Hundreds of warships, each the size of a city, began moving toward Earth's territory. But they had no idea what awaited them. Because for humanity, this was just another minor inconvenience. The first attack. The Galactic Council's war fleet moved through space like a storm. Hundreds of massive warships, built for planetary invasions, approached the edges of human territory. Their weapons were primed. Their soldiers were ready. They expected chaos. They expected fear. They got silence. As the alien armada crossed into human space, they sent a final message. "Terran Federation, surrender now or face total destruction." The reply came in seconds. Can you hold? We're in the middle of a soccer match. The council's general stared at the message in disbelief. A soccer match. Grand Minister Kalza slammed his tentacle on the table. They're ignoring us. This is an insult. High Chancellor Varlock growled. Enough. Attack their colony at Sigma 3. Let's see if they ignore us then. The attack on Sigma 3. Sigma 3 was a human colony, a bustling trade hub with millions of people. The aliens expected panic. They imagined humans screaming, running, begging for mercy. Instead, when their fleet entered orbit, the colony's automated defense system activated. A robotic voice greeted them. Unauthorized vessels detected, engaging auto-defense protocol. Thousands of defense drones shot out from hidden launch bays. They moved with impossible speed, dodging enemy fire with perfect accuracy. The first alien battleship exploded in seconds. The fleet commander panicked. Impossible. How did they react so fast? Then, something even worse happened. A single transmission from Earth was sent to their fleet. We're busy right now. The AI will handle this. The Galactic Council's ships were being annihilated by machines. No human generals. No soldiers. Just cold, calculating AI defense systems designed to wipe out threats without hesitation. Within 10 minutes, half of the alien fleet was destroyed. The rest tried to retreat. They failed. Their engines were hacked remotely. Their ships shut down. They drifted, powerless. The battle was over before it even started. The Council's confusion. The Galactic Council received the battle report. Total defeat. No human losses. No human soldiers even involved. Varlock's massive hands trembled with rage. This is not possible. How did they prepare for this? Did they know we were coming? A silent tension filled the council chamber. Then a young alien analyst hesitated before speaking. As sir, I study human history. Their entire species, they have always been at war. Varlock turned toward him. What do you mean? The analyst swallowed hard. For thousands of years, they fought each other. They wiped out their own armies. They destroyed their own cities. Their world almost ended many times, and yet they survived. Kalza's three eyes widened. You mean war is normal for them? The analyst nodded. Humans don't see war like we do. To us, war is a great crisis. But to them, he paused. To them, this war is just an inconvenience. A council fell into shocked silence. Varlock clenched his fists. Then we must strike harder. Prepare the entire armada. If they think war is an inconvenience, we will make them suffer. The war was far from over. Or at least, that's what the council believed. The council's confusion. The Galactic Council's war chamber was in chaos. The first battle had been a disaster. Their war fleet had been destroyed in minutes. Their soldiers never even set foot on the colony. And worst of all, the humans didn't even bother to fight. Instead of sending soldiers, they had sent machines. Instead of calling for peace, they had ignored the war entirely. The leaders of the council struggled to make sense of it. Varlock's anger. High Chancellor Varlock stood at the center of the chamber. His dark, armored body trembled with rage. This is an insult, a humiliation. How could they defeat us so easily? A massive warlord, covered in bioarmor, growled. They didn't even care about the attack. They acted like it was a minor problem, not a war. Varlock slammed his fist on the table. Then we will strike again. Harder, stronger. They will learn to fear us. But Grand Minister Kalza hesitated. He was the only one in the room who was not shouting in anger. Instead, he was thinking. And the more he thought, the more afraid he became. The analyst's discovery. In the corner of the chamber, a young alien strategist, Vreek, had spent hours studying human history. He was pale. His fingers trembled as he turned the pages of ancient records. Finally, he stood up. High Chancellor, I have found something. Varlock turned, his glowing eyes narrowing. Speak. Vreek swallowed hard. I studied their past, their wars, their history. He looked around the room, and I realized something terrifying. Kalza leaned forward. What? Vreek hesitated. Then, in a shaky voice, he said, Humans have never known peace. The chamber fell silent. What do you mean? Kalza asked. Vreek held up a holographic image. It showed centuries of human history, endless wars, conflicts between their own people, world wars, civil wars, battles on land, in space, in the oceans, wars that lasted for decades. They have fought each other for thousands of years. Vreek continued. They nearly destroyed their own planet, many times. But each time, they survived. Each time, they grew stronger. Varlock frowned. So what? We are an empire of warriors. We have fought many battles. Vreek shook his head. No, Chancellor. We fight when we must. We fight when it is necessary. His voice dropped to a whisper. But humans, war is their natural state. A cold silence filled the chamber. Kalza's warning. Kalza spoke carefully. Are you saying war does not frighten them? Vreek nodded. Yes, war is normal to them. It does not stop their lives. It does not make them panic. They do not see war as an end. They see it as an inconvenience. Varlock growled. Then we must destroy them completely. Kalza shook his head. No, don't you see? We cannot win. Varlock slammed his fist down. Enough. You are afraid of them. Kalza looked him in the eyes. Yes, and you should be too. But Varlock ignored him. He turned to his war generals. Gather all our fleets, every warship, every soldier, every weapon. We will invade their homeworld. Kalza clenched his fists. You are making a mistake. Varlock glared at him. I will not be mocked by a race of primitive savages. He turned back to his commanders. We attack Earth. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human government received the war declaration. The president of the Terran Federation looked at the report. They're sending their entire fleet. The Defense A responded, Yes, sir. The president sighed. Can we handle it? The AI replied in a calm voice. Yes. Their ships will arrive in 3 days. Estimated battle duration, less than 2 hours. The president leaned back in his chair. All right. Set up automated defenses. The AI confirmed. Already done. The president nodded. Good. Now, does anyone know if the new season of that detective show is out yet? The meeting continued. No one even looked worried. The largest alien armada in history was coming to destroy Earth, and nobody cared. The realization, the largest armada in galactic history moved through space, heading straight for Earth. It was a sight unlike anything seen before. Thousands of warships, each one powerful enough to level a city. Swarms of fighters, loaded with weapons that could melt through steel. Massive carriers, carrying millions of soldiers, all ready to invade. This was not just a battle. This was an extinction event. The Galactic Council believed that this time, humanity would break. They were wrong. The alien strategist's last warning. On the command ship of the Armada, Vreek, the young alien analyst, stood trembling. This is a mistake, he whispered. High Chancellor Varlock ignored him. Enough of your fear. Vreek stepped forward. Chancellor, we must reconsider. We studied their defenses. Varlock growled. Their defenses are pathetic. Their people are weak. We are the Galactic Council. We are unstoppable. Vreek shook his head. No, you don't understand. We have never fought a species like them. They don't just win wars. They adapt. Varlock turned to him, his eyes burning with rage. What are you saying? Vreek hesitated. Then with a shaking voice, he said, We are not attacking them. Varlock frowned. What do you mean? Vreek's voice dropped to a whisper. We are teaching them how to fight us." A silence fell over the command center. For a brief moment, doubt flickered across Varlock's face. Then he laughed. "Enough of this nonsense. We attack Earth in 1 hour." Vreek's heart sank. It was already too late. The first wave. As the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit, they were met with complete silence. There were no defense lines, no armies waiting for battle, no ships scrambling to intercept them. It was empty. A deep sense of unease spread through the alien commanders. Where are their forces? Why aren't they defending their planet? Are they surrendering? Then, suddenly, a robotic voice filled the communication channels. Unauthorized entry detected. Automated defense response activated. Before the aliens could react, thousands of orbital defense platforms powered up. Asterisk lasers, railguns, plasma cannons. Asterisk, a wall of fire erupted from Earth's orbit. Alien ships exploded instantly. The first wave was wiped out in seconds. The rest of the fleet tried to maneuver, but then the second part of the trap was revealed. A swarm of AI-controlled fighter drones emerged from the darkness of space. They moved too fast. Their targeting was perfect. The aliens fired desperately, but the drones dodged every shot. The first 100 capital ships were destroyed before they could fire a single shot. Varlock's command center shook as explosions filled the view screen. This is impossible," a voice echoed through the ship's speakers. It was a human transmission, but it wasn't from a military leader. It was from an Earth news broadcast. "Breaking news: alien fleet attacks Earth." In other news, traffic in New York is terrible today. The biggest invasion in history was happening, and humanity didn't even care. The counterattack. The alien fleet was falling apart. Their formations collapsed. Their weapons were ineffective. Then came the final blow. Earth's AI launched a cyber attack. The alien ships began shutting down. Their weapons failed. Their engines stopped working. One by one, the massive warships went dark. Varlock's command ship lost power. Panic filled the bridge. "They've hacked our systems. We can't move. We're..." Boom! A single human battleship emerged from Earth's atmosphere. It was tiny compared to the alien fleet. Yet, it fired once. A single energy pulse spread through space. The entire alien armada went offline. The war was over, and humanity hadn't lost a single soldier. The aftermath. Varlock sat in his chair, his mind shattered. How had his great fleet been destroyed so easily? How had the Council's strongest warriors been defeated by machines? Then, a human voice spoke over the speakers. "Hey, is this thing on?" Yeah. So, thanks for visiting Earth. Next time, bring better ships." The transmission cut out. Varlock slumped forward. He had thought he was leading a war. Instead, he had led his fleet into a humiliating defeat. The Galactic Council's greatest army had just been an inconvenience. The next invasion, the once mighty Galactic Council, had been humiliated. Their largest fleet had been destroyed. Their greatest warlords had been defeated. And worst of all, humanity didn't even acknowledge the war. It was supposed to be the greatest battle in history. Instead, the humans had treated it like a minor inconvenience. But High Chancellor Varlock refused to accept defeat. The Council's desperation. Inside the Grand War Chamber, the surviving leaders of the Galactic Council argued in chaos. "They hacked our entire fleet. They didn't even send real soldiers. This war is a disaster." Varlock slammed his fist down. "Enough." His voice boomed through the chamber. "We cannot afford to be seen as weak." Grand Minister Kalza narrowed his 3 eyes. "We are already weak. Humanity destroyed our forces with no effort." Varlock growled. "Then we will strike again. This time, we will not rely on warships. We will invade their cities directly." Gasps spread through the chamber. Vreek, the young alien strategist, paled. "Chancellor, Are you suggesting a ground invasion? Varlock's eyes burned. Yes, we will send our strongest warriors. We will take their cities, control their people, and force them to surrender. Kalza shook his head. You fool. You still don't understand what we are dealing with. But Varlock ignored him. The final invasion had begun. The arrival of the ground forces, a massive fleet of dropships, approached Earth. This time, they did not announce their arrival. There were no demands, no warnings. Instead, millions of alien soldiers were deployed across major human cities. They expected resistance. They expected war. They expected fear. Instead, they got nothing. No screaming. No armies waiting for them. The humans just kept living their lives. First contact in New York. A massive alien shock trooper battalion landed in New York City. They marched through the streets in full armor. Their weapons were ready. Their commanders barked orders. But nobody cared. A man walked past them, holding a cup of coffee. He didn't even glance at them. A woman checked her phone while an alien soldier aimed a plasma rifle at her. She sighed in annoyance and walked around him. The alien commander, General Cathar, was confused. He grabbed a passing human. Do you not fear us? The man looked at him and raised an eyebrow. Should I? Cathar bared his fangs. We are invading your planet. The human glanced around. Oh, right. Well, good luck with that, buddy. And then he walked away. Cathar's mind broke. The chaos of the invasion. Across the planet, the same thing happened. In London, alien warriors stormed into a shopping district. People complained about them blocking the road. In Tokyo, an elite alien strike force entered the subway. A commuter told them to move because they were in the way. In Los Angeles, soldiers landed in a park. A group of teenagers started filming them for social media. A grandmother yelled at an alien soldier for standing in front of her house. The alien forces were stunned. They had trained for battle. They had prepared for resistance. They had not prepared for indifference. The turning point. Varlock watched the invasion unfold from orbit. His commanders sent reports. Sir, the humans are ignoring us. What do you mean, ignoring us? They don't seem to care. They keep going to work, eating, shopping. Some of them even laughed at us. Varlock's blood boiled. This is impossible, he roared. Make them fear us. Attack their leaders. Take hostages. Force them to surrender. But then, something unexpected happened. Humanity's response. At that moment, a message was broadcast across the planet. It was not from a general. It was not from the president. It was from a local news channel. A smiling human anchor casually read the news. Breaking news. Alien invaders are currently occupying several cities. However, experts say they are not causing major disruptions. Most people seem unbothered. In other news, a dog in Brazil has learned how to skateboard. Varlock's heart stopped. This wasn't a war. This wasn't even a crisis. To the humans, this was just another Tuesday. The first defections. As the days passed, something strange happened. Some of the alien invaders started giving up. A squad of shock troopers joined a fast food restaurant after realizing their weapons were useless. A group of elite assassins abandoned their mission to start a YouTube channel. An alien commander quit the war and opened a coffee shop in Paris. The Galactic soldiers realized the truth. They had been raised to believe humanity was a threat. But in reality, humans were just kind of busy. And that was worse than any weapon. Varlock's final stand. Varlock watched the reports in horror. His great invasion was collapsing. His warriors were giving up. The Galactic Council was finished. And then, he received one last transmission. It was from Earth's government. They finally acknowledged him. The message read, "Hey, can you guys wrap this up? We have a lot of important stuff to do." Varlock's hands trembled. His empire, his power, his entire existence, meant nothing to them. And in that moment, he realized the truth. Humanity had already won, because they had never even considered the war a real problem. Humanity's counterattack, the greatest invasion in galactic history, had turned into a spectacular failure. Humanity hadn't fought back with weapons. They hadn't launched a counteroffensive. They had simply ignored the war. And that had done more damage than any battle ever could. The breaking point. Inside the Grand War Chamber, High Chancellor Varlock sat in stunned silence. His war generals had no words. His armies had given up. His great invasion had become a joke. Reports flooded in from occupied human cities. Alien troops had abandoned their posts to take jobs at human restaurants. Some had become social media influencers. Others had straight up retired and started living among the humans. And the worst part, the Terran Federation still hadn't sent a single human soldier. The message from Earth. Then, a new transmission arrived from the human government. Varlock stared at it. At last, they were taking this war seriously. He slammed his fist on the table and ordered it to be played. A human appeared on the screen. It was a middle-aged woman. She wore a business suit and looked bored. She adjusted her glasses. "Good afternoon, Chancellor. My name is Margaret Liu. I work for the Terran Federation's Department of Inconveniences." Varlock blinked. "The what?" Margaret continued. "We handle minor disruptions, traffic delays, construction noise, alien invasions. You get the idea." Varlock's entire body twitched. The human government had put this war under the same category as traffic problems. Margaret sighed. "Anyway, the invasion is causing mild annoyances in some cities, so we'd like you to wrap it up. We have more important things to do." Varlock's eye twitched. More important things. Margaret checked her notes. "Yes, it says here we have an interplanetary trade summit next week, and we need the spaceports cleared. Also, there's a basketball championship happening soon, and some of your soldiers are blocking stadium entrances." Varlock's mind shattered. He was the High Chancellor of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. He had declared war on humanity. He had sent fleets, armies, weapons of destruction. And they were more concerned about a basketball game. Margaret smiled. "So, if you could pack up your forces and leave, that'd be great. Otherwise, we'll have to escalate things." Varlock gritted his teeth. He had lost everything. He had been humiliated beyond reason. But still, he had one last question. "What happens if we refuse?" Margaret's expression didn't change. "Oh, we'd prefer not to escalate things," she said calmly. "But if you insist, our AI defense systems will lock down your empire's entire economy." Varlock's breath caught in his throat. "We already hacked your financial networks," Margaret continued. "We've just been waiting to see if you'll behave. But if you don't leave soon, we'll erase all your currency." Varlock felt his soul leave his body. Margaret adjusted her glasses. "Oh, and we'll disable all your starships." A deep silence filled the chamber. Varlock's generals turned pale. Margaret smiled. "So, Chancellor, will you be leaving, or would you like to continue this inconvenience?" The Galactic Council surrenders. An hour later, the official surrender document was signed. The Galactic Council unconditionally withdrew all forces from Earth. The war was over. But not because of a great battle. Not because of diplomacy. Not because of peace talks. Humanity had won simply by being too busy to care. The aftermath. Alien warlords lost their status. Former soldiers found jobs on Earth. The Galactic Council collapsed within a month. The entire galaxy was shocked by what had happened. But for humanity, it was just another day. And as the universe watched in fear, one terrifying truth became clear. You don't win a war against humans. Because to them, war is just an inconvenience. Psychological warfare. The war was over. The Galactic Council had surrendered. The greatest armada in history had been destroyed. The strongest warriors of the galaxy had been ignored into irrelevance. But the true battle was just beginning. Because now, the aliens had to live with the consequences, the aftermath of defeat. Across the galaxy, the news of humanity's victory spread. For centuries, the Galactic Council had ruled with fear. They had crushed countless civilizations. They had wiped out species that refused to submit. But now, they had lost to an enemy that never even took them seriously. And worse, everyone knew it. The once powerful empires of the galaxy began to fracture. The smaller civilizations, the ones who had once feared the Council, started laughing. Jokes spread across the galactic networks. Invade Earth. Good luck. They might not even notice. The only thing deadlier than humanity's weapons is their indifference. Breaking news. Galactic Council leaders have applied for jobs at Earth coffee shops. The humiliation was unbearable. The fall of Varlock. High Chancellor Varlock sat alone in his chambers. Once, he had been the most feared leader in the galaxy. Now, he was a symbol of failure. His empire had crumbled. His war had been a joke. And now, he was hiding. Suddenly, his communicator beeped. A message from one of his former generals. "Sir, it's happening everywhere. Our own people are defecting. They're leaving our worlds. They're moving to Earth." Varlock's eyes widened. "What? Why?" The general hesitated. "Because, sir, humans have everything we don't." Varlock's fists clenched. "You mean technology?" "No, sir." The general sighed. "I mean purpose." Varlock froze. For centuries, the Galactic Council had believed they were the pinnacle of civilization. They had thought themselves superior. They had controlled the galaxy. But in the end, they had no real future. Humanity, on the other hand, they were always moving forward. The alien crisis. Within weeks, thousands of aliens defected to Earth. Former warlords became small business owners. Elite soldiers became security guards, athletes, and even actors. Some aliens even joined human families. The most shocking change came from the younger generation of aliens. They had grown up believing humanity was a nightmare. But now, they saw humans as the future. They watched human movies. They listened to human music. They followed human culture. And for the first time in galactic history, aliens wanted to be human. Humanity's response. At first, Earth's leaders were confused. One government official stared at a report. So, apparently, millions of aliens are moving to Earth. The president sighed. "Do we have room for them?" A robotic assistant replied. "We have over 200 terraformed planets available. Also, a few abandoned Galactic Council stations are now being converted into housing." The president nodded. "All right. Put them in the system. Make sure they get jobs." The war had ended weeks ago, but for humanity, it had already been forgotten. They simply absorbed the aliens into their growing empire and kept moving forward. Because to humans, nothing had changed. The final realization. On a distant world, Vreek, the alien strategist who had warned the Council, watched the changes unfold. He sighed. He had been right all along. "You never fight humanity," he whispered to himself, "because no matter what happens, they always win. Not because of weapons, not because of war, but because they never stop. No matter what the universe threw at them, they just kept going. And that, more than anything, was why they were unstoppable." The galactic surrender. The Galactic Council no longer existed. Its leaders had fled. Its warlords had vanished. And its people. They had moved to Earth. The once mighty empire that had ruled the stars for thousands of years had been defeated, not by war, but by irrelevance. And now, the last remaining alien rulers had gathered for one final meeting. The last council meeting. On an abandoned space station, a group of former Galactic Council leaders sat around a dimly lit table. The room was silent. No shouting. No debates. just defeat. High Chancellor Varlock was there. So was Grand Minister Kalza. Others had come too. What remained of the galaxy's once feared rulers. Finally, someone spoke. What do we do now? Silence. For centuries, they had ruled through fear and war. But now, the universe didn't fear them anymore. Kalza sighed. We lost the war the moment we declared it. Varlock growled. We were defeated by humans who didn't even try. Vreek, the young strategist, was the last to speak. We weren't just defeated. He looked around the table. We were replaced. The other leaders stared at him. Vreek continued. Look at our people. The young ones. They've all left. They're living on human worlds. They're working in human businesses. They're watching human media. Varlock clenched his fists. Then we take back control. We ban human culture. We. Kalza interrupted him. It's too late. He gestured at the holographic screen in front of them. It showed a galactic news broadcast. The headline read, Earth announces new intergalactic union. Former Galactic Council worlds welcome as members. The camera showed aliens of all species standing with humans, smiling. Aliens who had once been council soldiers were now traders, builders, teachers, entertainers. The galaxy had moved on, and the council's leaders were now nothing. The official surrender. A week later, the last remaining members of the former Galactic Council sent a message to Earth. A simple message. We surrender. Humanity's response. A generic auto-reply. Thank you for your message. Due to high traffic, response times may vary. Have a great day. The final surrender of the Galactic Council wasn't even read by a human. An AI handled it. It was the ultimate humiliation. The rise of the Terran Federation. With the Council gone, the galaxy needed leadership. Humanity didn't take over. They didn't demand control. Instead, they simply kept working. They built new trade routes. They restored damaged worlds. They offered jobs, homes, and resources to any species willing to join them. And one by one, the entire galaxy did. Not because they were forced, but because it was simply the best option. The Terran Federation became the new center of intergalactic politics. And the most terrifying part, they never even tried to do it. Varlock's last stand. Varlock, once the most feared warlord in the galaxy, now wandered the streets of a human colony. He saw aliens and humans working together. A former council general was now running a pizza shop. A squad of elite shock troopers had become personal trainers at a gym. A once proud battlecruiser had been converted into a theme park. Everything the council had built was now entertainment. Varlock clenched his fists. How had it come to this? He stormed into a local government office. I demand to see a leader of the Terran Federation, he growled. A robotic receptionist looked up. Do you have an appointment? Varlock blinked. Appointment. The robot continued. Our leaders are very busy. The next available slot is in 6 months. Varlock's eye twitched. But I am High Chancellor Varlock. The robot checked its records. That title no longer exists. Would you like to apply for a new position? We have several job openings in sanitation, food service, and retail. Varlock felt his soul leave his body. This wasn't defeat. This was something far worse. This was irrelevance. And it was permanent. The Galactic Council ceases to exist. With no army, no government, no purpose, the Galactic Council vanished. Its worlds became part of the Terran Federation. Its people became citizens of Earth, and humanity never even noticed. Because in the end, the Galactic Council was just another inconvenience. The aftermath. The Galactic Council was gone. Not defeated in battle. Not conquered. Not overthrown. It simply stopped mattering. And the galaxy, it moved on. The new order. With the Council's collapse, the Terran Federation became the new center of galactic politics. Not because they wanted power, Not because they took over, but simply because they were the only ones who knew how to get things done. Human diplomats formed alliances. Human traders opened new markets. Human scientists shared technology. And slowly, without war, without force, the entire galaxy became part of humanity's empire. Except there was no empire, because humanity didn't rule. They just built things and let everyone join in. The fate of the former Council worlds. The once feared warrior clans became sports teams. Former Council officers became low-level bureaucrats. Entire battleships were converted into cruise liners. Some of the older alien warlords still clung to the past. They would gather in bars, drinking, muttering about the good old days when the Council was powerful. But even they knew the truth. Those days were never coming back. Varlock's final days. High Chancellor Varlock had once commanded millions. Now, he worked at a coffee shop on a human colony. He had resisted at first, but after his bank accounts were erased and his power was gone, he had no choice but to adapt. And so, the former ruler of the galaxy now spent his days making lats. One day, a human customer walked in. A young woman. She looked at Varlock's name tag. Varlock. That sounds familiar. Varlock sighed. Yes, I was once the leader of the Galactic Council. The woman squinted. Oh, right. Weren't you the guy who declared war on us? Varlock grumbled. Yes, she laughed. Wow, that was a long time ago. Anyway, can I get an iced caramel macchiato? Varlock punched in the order. Sure. As he handed her the drink, she smiled. Hey, don't feel bad. At least you're part of something now. Varlock paused. He looked around. The city was full of aliens and humans living together. And for the first time, in a long time, he felt at peace. Maybe this was how things were meant to be. The final lesson. In the end, the war against humanity had taught the galaxy a lesson. You couldn't beat humans. You couldn't intimidate humans. You couldn't rule over humans, because humans didn't care about war. They cared about progress, and no matter what stood in their way, they would simply keep moving forward. That was what made them unstoppable. Epilogue. The next threat. Years passed. The galaxy thrived under the Terran Federation's influence. Then one day, a new alien empire appeared on the edge of known space. They were called the Dominion. Their leader, a towering warlord, sent a transmission to Earth. We are the Dominion. We have studied your history. We will not make the same mistakes as the Galactic Council. We will crush you before you can react. The message reached the Terran Federation government. The president read it. Then, with a sigh, he turned to his AI assistant. Handle it. The AI sent an automated response. Thank you for your message. Your invasion request has been received. Estimated response time, 3 to 5 business days. The Dominion had no idea what they had just done.